Hello, I'm Ron Miscavige, and I'd like to talk to you today about something I call life lesson, or a life lesson, however you want to put it, however I want to put it. And the subject today is called Don't Play with Fire. Now, let me take you back to a more halcyon era in my life when I was raised in a little town in Pennsylvania called Mount Carmel. And this was back in the 40s because I'm 83 years old, so this was right after the Second World War, or in around that era. I lived in a house that was about one block away from where the town ended. And right at the end of that block, there's a little area to the right that was called the Green. We called it the Green because, it went from the Macadam Road to a dirt road, and then there was apple trees in there and peach trees and all kinds of stuff like that. And we used to play there as kids. It was a lot of fun. It was great growing up where I was born and raised. And one day I'm up there playing with a friend of mine. His name is Speedy Butella, and he got that name because when he played football, he could run away from everybody, and he was a little guy too. But even as a kid, we knew that he was fast, so we called him Speedy. One day we're playing up there in the woods, and it was getting toward the end of the day, around maybe 5 or 6 o'clock, and there was an old oak tree that was completely dead. I mean, this thing had a thick diameter trunk on it, and there was not a leaf on it, and it was right next to a house right at the end of the town. This was the last house on the block, and this oak tree was right next to it, right outside the fence. But on that oak tree, there was a knot hole about waist high when we were kids, about that high, maybe 2 feet off the ground. So it was hollowed out in there. So this was a pretty cool evening, so we went and gathered some straw, put the straw in the knot hole, and we set it on fire so it would be like a little fireplace. And we warmed our hands on it, and we were shooting the breeze for a little bit. And after a couple of minutes, we figured we're going to go home and have dinner. So we tamped out the fire in the knot hole and went home. So the next day, I hear Speedy outside yelling, "Yo, Ronnie!" Now, in those days, you didn't knock on the door to ask for your buddy. You stood outside the house and yelled his name. So I heard that, so I went to the door and I says, "Hey, what's up?" He says, "Come on, quick." So I threw on some clothes, and he started walking up toward the end of the street where that oak tree was, and we were playing yesterday, and I saw from a block away there's a fire engine and a police car up there. Now, even as a little kid, you see a police car and a fire engine, your antenna goes up and say, "Hey, I wonder what the hell is up." We go to the end, and just as I turned to look to the right where that house was, the oak tree was no longer there. What had happened was this. And by the way, that house, that last house in the block, had a back porch, and they built a spare bedroom over that porch on the second story. So I looked to the right. The oak tree was no longer standing there. That fire didn't go out. It smoldered and just ate away at the foundation of that tree. Finally, it gave way. The oak tree came down and took off the back bedroom and the porch. Now, let me tell you something. When I saw that, my heart stopped, because I figured if somebody saw us, or Speedy weakens and says, "Hey, that was me and my buddy Ronnie," right to reform school. I went home. I went up in the attic of our house, and it was the summertime now, and my mother was saying to me, "Ronnie, why don't you go outside and play? It's nice out." I said, "No, I want to catch up on reading my Batman comic books." Believe me, I was scared out of my goddamn mind. So after about 3 days, I ventured out, found Speedy, and we continued on with our life. And what's the lesson here? Well, I'll tell you what it is. If there's an oak tree next to a house that's dead and there's a knothole in it, don't start a goddamn fire in the knothole. Anyway, just I thought I'd relay that story to you because I look back now, it's funny, but at the time, it scared the living bejesus out of me. So there you go. I thought I'd tell you that story today. And if you want to hear more, I guess you could call them stories, some interesting things, go to my website, therealronmiscavige.com. That's therealronmiscavige.com. And on there, you're going to find my YouTube shows, okay? And you can check these out, and you'll find people that I interview and hear about their stories. They're not too pleasant, but it's a different attitude towards certain things that happen to people in life. So meanwhile, for now, I'm Ron Miscavige. Hey, nice talking to you. And there's going to be more of these lessons in life, so stay tuned. Look me up on the internet. I wish I were more savvy with the digital stuff. I'm 83 years old, and I was raised in an analog era, so I'm a professional musician. But let me tell you something, a kid in probably kindergarten being raised with computers could kick my butt. Anyway, I'll talk to you the next time. For now, I'm Ron Miscavige. See you later, guys.